But one might ask, what happens after we conquer the tri-state area? To which I say, first thought, best thought. We head west.
Quick question. How long will this presentation take?
Well, okay, I did plan a lunch midway through, right out there in the foyer.
Ring, ring. Terribly sorry, Jerry. I must take this. Hello? Really? You need me now, you say? Do excuse me. I'll be straight back, I
I can
promise.
tell you're not holding a telephone.
Immediately. All right. Person on the
Not
end
a
of this
phone.
mobile.
He said ring, ring.
Yes.
There's no cord. Rather disrespectful, but we'll press forward.
Great presentation, Jerry. Unfortunately, me and Nando have a 9 p.m. at our jobs at Canning Capital, so thank you so much.
Okay, bye then, Mr. Guide.
Right.
Thought you guys actually were taking the vampire domination seriously this time.
We are.
We are, Jerry.
Yeah?
We gotta get that green, Jess.
Great. So now I'm talking to the ghost doll and the energy vampire.
Colin Robbins.
Right.
Can you just take it from the top?
Hello, all. Welcome back to What's On Tonight, a podcast with elaborate, quirky, and unpredictable conversations about TV, movies, and more. I am Becky.
And I'm Mandy.
Tonight, we are covering What We Do in the Shadows, Season 6, Episode 4, titled The Railroad. Please note, this is a spoiler-filled podcast. So if you haven't watched the episode yet and don't want to be spoiled, get off, come back, and check us out after you've seen the episode. So let us dive right in. Mandy, what is the synopsis for this episode?
So episode 4, Laszlo and Colin help neighbor Sean find a new job at the railroad, which they claim to work. And Guillermo has to make a tough choice at the office.
This episode, my only overall thought, because I have a lot to say about the meat of the episode, is I thought this episode was full of some really great comedic moments, though I did find the ending very, very sad.
It was sad, but so remember last week, the thing I was talking about, how I wasn't disappointed in the first 3 episodes. I didn't feel like there were any moments like I was talking about with the Jackie Daytona and the creepy paper and some of our favorite things from the past. I watched that one again today. But anyway, I don't want to get ahead because there was a reason I watched it and I'll tell you later. But it was proved exactly why I have faith in the writers of this show, because now I am in it. I'm in the flow. I know where they're going with this kind of I see like the arc. It really made me feel like this show, I hope they get like a 2-hour ending, because a lot of their plots don't end at the end of one episode. They just keep overlapping into the next, and they need more time to build sometimes. And I felt like they really hit their stride this season with this episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I agree. The opening scene had me absolutely rolling, and it goes on to you're talking about how they carry a plot over from one episode to the next. So we get Jerry back, and he's with the guide going over his plan to take over North America.
Yeah.
And I thought it was hilarious. And Mandy and I both used to work in an office as assistants, and we often had to set up lunches. And the guide discussed that she has lunch set up in the other room, and
it's just
cards,
dead bodies,
like telling you what kind of sandwich it is, but it's got the blood types on there.
Yes, I had a lot of flashbacks to our former workplace. That's a lot of what I want to talk about in here. Yeah, I thought one of the notes I wrote here is that first scene is the most accurate meeting ever. Like, I am Laszlo in that scene. Just
100% him pretending to get a phone call, but
Yes.
I love that he doesn't even bother to use his phone. He just put his fingers to his ears and it's like, oh, you need me right now?
Oh, man,
okay, person on the other end.
I have been there. I have been there this week. Yeah, that killed me. I loved that.
I liked that the only person interested, even remotely, was Colin Robinson.
And he had to reintroduce himself again to Jerry.
Again.
Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, could you take it from the top? That's the clip that you hear at the start of this episode. It's the scene, and I couldn't help it because it's so funny. Anything else you want to say?
His feelings aren't even hurt about the fact that he has to read. He's already over being upset that Jerry. He just expects it from everyone now.
Oh yeah, he's like, I'm cool. I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I appreciate that he's rolling with the punches because he gets some really good.
He has
moments.
a lot of good. Yeah, he really does. And again, like immediately. Like I said last week, I could already see that this whole Jerry getting them back on board with trying to take over North America is just doomed to failure. They are not interested in this. They weren't interested 150 years ago when they got here.
They're
definitely not interested now. Yeah. So this is definitely going to come back. This is going to be an overarching thing all season, I believe, where Jerry is going to get more and more frustrated with their lack of commitment to the vampire, their dark purpose.
I feel like though, and we'll get more to it when we get to the end of the episode because it's one of my final thoughts. I think he might have some more interests based on what happened in this episode.
Jerry?
Yeah, I think he's going to have, and when we get there, it'll all make sense when we get there. And if it doesn't, well, that's on.
That would just be like us. Right?
All right, so I broke it down a little different this week where I kind of, instead of just going point to point through the episode, I've kind of broken it off into work, home, and railroad. And then
our brains work so much alike. I didn't do that because remember last week I was talking about how I thought I had all these great plans to make my notes less chaotic. Halfway through my 2-page chaotic notes this week, I started thinking maybe I should have broken this down by categories like that. So brilliant.
Let's see. We'll see. Let's see how brilliant it is. I love getting Nadja back in the office, and her hair seems to be on point. I don't know. It's like one scene to the next. That hairstyle is changing.
It's getting bigger and growing. It's more
like
aggressive,
super poofy, or like high. I don't know. The way costume department
on point.
A+, but she's still talking about how she's basically the reason Guillermo's getting anywhere,
and she is.
And she gets a guy choking on something so Guillermo could save him. And it's like, you don't have to kill people or attempt to kill people to make him look good, Nadja. I love that that's her go-to.
Honestly, in that office, and I have a lot to say about the office situation there. But honestly, in that office, you kind of have to try to kill people before it's like hyenas. Yeah. I love that. Like when he's choking and it comes up, it's one of her god awful epaulets or brooches or the big gaudy gold thing
on that
her jacket.
Tacky jacket. And she just puts it right back on and walks away. Yeah. As they all cheer on Guillermo in the conference room.
Yeah.
I loved the visual of Nandor giving his how much he loves his job, but he's mopping the computer screens and vacuuming the desks.
Yeah. One of the things that
I'm going to try his cleaning.
Mopping the computer screen.
I'm going to see what happens.
One of the things that I loved about this episode or a thought that I had is that I think that you really see how they are truly just cosplaying at being humans here. That it is very much like them trying on a costume. That's the reason I think that Nadia's hair is just so, and her outfits. It's like she saw Working Girl one weekend, when she was sifting through the TV, and she just said, that is what a sassy working woman human woman in an office is supposed to look like, and she's just ramping it up to the nth degree. And it's the same with Nandor. He has no idea how to be he's excited to be a janitor. He doesn't even realize that he is the lowest rung in the pecking order in that office. He just knows janitor is something that humans do in the office, and that's the costume and the role he's playing, while they're really just there to look out for Guillermo. This is a fun adventure that they're having with Guillermo, and for Guillermo it's like his whole new life.
Right, which plays out quite a bit later on in the episode. Favorite part of the Office episode, or the Office portion, was when Jordan comes out and announces the big acquisition, and Nadja's like, yeah, just like screaming in the background, but Nandor goes and hugs Jordan, and then he goes to shake random dude's hand. He's like, we did it. I'm like, I love you, Nandor.
Yeah, he has no idea that he is not a main character in this little adventure until farther, which, as you said, leads to some pretty sad moments for our buddy at the end of the show.
I want you to dive deep into this next part, because I thought of you and your Guillermo being a, what did you call him last week?
A sociopath. Yes.
When he's describing the acquisition and trying to make it sound like every negative, horrible thing they've done is great.
Somehow a positive. Yeah. And you can see him talk himself into that.
Yeah. I wanted to text you and be like, this is so Guillermo trying to talk himself into burying bodies is okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I have one of the notes that I have here is that not only is Guillermo, he's so used to having an asshole boss that it's like he just immediately snaps back into line.
Yes, Master. Jordan.
Yeah. So not only is Guillermo a little bit of a sociopath, he's also a bit of a masochist.
Well, he has a type.
He does, so I told you I was going to get into, I went back and watched some of the earlier episodes today. So first of all, I watched this episode roughly 5 times today, just out of the background, just because I wanted to try to keep it fresh. And just like, as we said last week, there's always like these little things in the background, and this may be our only opportunity to talk about this episode. So I didn't want to miss anything, but I started thinking, Guillermo is just falling in line here because he's so used to being the shit eater of Staten Island.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that on his shirt.
He's good at it. He's great at it even. But I started thinking, like, was Nandor ever that mean? Because I have thoughts about Jordan, which, first of all, I love that they named him Jordan, like Jordan Belfort from that Wolf of Wall Street. Like, it's not even subtle.
That's exactly who I thought of.
I'm sure that was
they're the same person. They had to have mirrored him off of that guy.
Yeah. I'm going to say Jordan reminded me very strongly of someone, and I bet you can guess who. They'll go nameless on this podcast. Sure, I don't care. I am not protecting that guy.
I could just do a first name.
Yeah, go ahead.
Somebody named Rich?
Yeah. Yeah, especially like when he was talking about how, they just got this big account, and he's making this big, inspiring speech to the team. And he's telling them, as you all know, my wife and my kids are everything to me. That said, fuck them. And then no one means shit to him. He said, and he says, most of you here are like family. Some of you are going to be gone when you don't meet your sales quotas at the end of this quarter.
Right.
But, for the rest of you, I love you guys. And it reminded me very much of a conversation that he and Rich and I had once, where he was talking about how much he loved how Lee Iacocca, who was the CEO of one of the big car companies back in the 80s, I think it was Ford. Chrysler. I can't remember. Yeah, maybe Chrysler. Anyway, if anybody hears this, they're going to be screaming. I can't believe you can't remember who Lee Iacocca was. But anyway, he was the head of one of those big car firms back in the 80s. And he had this policy of firing the bottom 10% of his workforce every year. No excuses, no reasons. And Rich was a big fan of that. He was a big fan of just getting rid of people, and they could, social Darwinism, I guess.
And for yourself. Yeah.
Right.
No
I was
love
triggered
lost at all.
Right. I was triggered a lot
in this episode. This
Yes.
episode brought me straight back to the corporate world, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure I loved all of it.
It's so like hyper masculine, and they really were like a pack of hyenas, and it's not wrong because I'll tell you, I mean, like my husband's company, I love that company. They've been good to us. They've been good to him. But I listen in on their sales calls sometimes, and it's very similar. Just like the way that you can't show any weakness, and it's like teenage boys, they will just make fun of you for anything. Did you notice the moment when Jordan comes in and he's talking to Guillermo, and he goes, "What is that you're drinking? Tea?" Whatever. Like drinking tea was too effeminate for that office. Yeah. Just douches.
Yeah. I did like when Jordan and Guillermo were trying to do the handshake because it made me feel like the boys, Matthew and he's constantly trying to teach me a cool handshake, and I destroy it every time. And it's like, that's pretty accurate. When Nandor thinks he's about to be named Employee of the Month, and instead Guillermo tells him that he needs to blend in. And so the next time you see him, he's molding himself into the wall.
Yeah, I have notes here about that, about how hilarious that was, that he thinks that that's the way to blend in, is to literally try to camouflage himself as a wall. And I love how he immediately gets the concept behind, like, we know it's about business. And he says, back when he was a warlord, he always discouraged non-sexual fraternization among the troops.
The men.
Yeah.
That's one of my quotes. I was like, everything else is cool. Yeah. But nothing non-sexual. You go, Nandor.
And speaking of douchies, that remember last week I said the guy that plays Cherry has a punchable face. So does the guy that plays the redhead co-worker of Guillermo's. I can't remember his name, but
the one that told him that somebody took a dump on the toilet seat. Yeah, I don't like him.
Yes, I would. That's another one. I'd like to just get one good punch in right in the nose.
That whole scene, I have here that, Guillermo is being accepted by his peers, but they're all a bunch of jerks and are in turn causing Guillermo to act like a jerk. I know Guillermo wants to fit in. I know that's all he's
ever wanted.
The last last 6 seasons, that's his goal, is to fit in with either the group of vampires or now with these people at work. But I don't like the person they're making him out to be, or he's allowing them to make him be. And I did think it was hilarious, him trying to get all those shots.
Yes, when he started getting progressively more and more hammered. I think Nadja, again, this whole episode of Nadja's, I heard a quote this week from the woman that plays Nadja, and she said Nadja is such a lovely, stupid woman. And that is true sometimes. Nadja can be stupid, but she is definitely the brains of that operation. And she's definitely the heart of that. Like, she's the one, if you need balls in any situation, Nadja is the one that's going to have them. And I love how she said this whole office is made up of tiny little shed dwellers, because she's clocked it. They are all like cussing, just, indiscriminately cursing, working the F word into every situation where they can. And they're trying to pump each other up, and they're acting like a pack of wild animals, but they're really just a bunch of nerds. They're just a bunch of shed dwellers.
Yeah. I like that the term shed dwellers has become the insult of the season.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to use that a lot.
Speaking of, first let me say, Nandor watching Guillermo and his new jerk friends from the window, and him trying to convince himself, obviously, that he's not hurt about it, that this is how it is for generals. And then he goes on to talk about his non-sexual fraternization amongst the men. That made me sad, and I should have seen that setting up a lot more sadness to come. But I want to go to Nadja when she busts in to tell them about trying to sell them the fake railroad. And she says, "Sorry, I thought this was the team with dicks so big they wiped the floors." And then she said, "Do you like trains? Because I know your mom does." And I stood up and slow clapped because I love a your mom joke.
Oh, and
And
that was a beautiful
she
one.
nailed it. She absolutely nailed it.
She is what they want to be. And that's what I think is so interesting about that, is that this is life or death to Guillermo. But for Nadia, and Guillermo has to psych himself into being that person, because even though he's a little bit of a sociopath and a little bit of a masochist, most of Guillermo is a good person. Nadia really genuinely is the biggest predator in that group. And she's only there.
And she owns
It's just genuinely who she is.
Yeah.
She's only there. She really is the monster that they wish that they were, and that they can only be in a pack. And Nadia is only there for Guillermo. And it's just funny to me that she is effortlessly the person that Guillermo is trying so desperately, who's like tying himself in these psychological knots to become. It's just, I love that Nadia is just, she is that woman. She's that girl.
She's that bitch.
Yeah.
Isn't that a song?
No, but I was trying not to use that word, but
oops.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, sorry, Mom. So
I didn't mean like I was correcting you. I just meant, that's one of my hangups.
I'm being silly. So then we get to Guillermo and trying to justify having fire Nandor, and his big epiphany is, well, Nandor couldn't make me a vampire, and I can't make him a janitor. Like those are even comparable.
Right. That is just like janitor is beyond. He conquered, half of Asia, but he can't figure out how to be a normal human janitor. Yeah.
The scene where he fires him and Nandor's sitting there telling Guillermo how proud he is of him. And then, Guillermo tells him we're downsizing, and he's like, so worried about his number one bro, Jimmy. And Guillermo's like, no, it's not Jimmy, it's you.
Yeah.
The gamut is gamut the right word of emotions that Nandor went through in his face, and him just saying, nope, I get it, I understand. And then he ends up getting so overwhelmed that he rips his mic off and shoos the cameras away. It broke my heart, but I'm telling you, that rejection from Guillermo is going to be why I think Nandor is about to join Jerry and the Guide in taking over North America.
Oh, is that what?
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, okay.
He's done.
Yeah.
For now.
Done. I think that he's definitely about to go. We've seen this a few times in the past. So remember, I told you I went back and I watched some of the early episodes because I wanted to see if Nandor was ever as aggressive as stupid Jordan was. And he wasn't. He never was. He was much more dismissive of Guillermo, and treated him much more like a subordinate, even from the beginning. But he was never unkind, mostly. He was never deliberately cruel. And he always seemed to care about Guillermo. And one of the arcs that we've seen over the last 6 seasons is him coming to not just kind of care for Guillermo as like a pet, but genuinely as a deep part of their friendship, part of their family. And that decision to let Guillermo go from being his familiar and let him try to go out into the world and make it, on his own. And all Nandor wanted to be, this was like one of the first times he was trying to treat Guillermo as an equal, and it blew up in his face.
Yeah.
And we have seen Nandor a couple of different times throughout the last 6 seasons run into a brick wall, because like one of his overarching themes is trying to find where his purpose is. Like Laszlo and Nadia have each other, and Colin Robinson is Colin Robinson. He's just Colin Robinson. And Guillermo is a human. And so Nandor has been, looking for someone to love and to belong with and belong to all this time. And I think he's starting to feel that, whether it's platonic, like I said, I don't really know. You know what I hope, but I don't know.
Guillermo's his person. He's always been there.
Right. And I think that it took a lot of growth for him to get to a point where, like last season, where, he not only rescued him from vampirism, which he knew wasn't going to work out for Guillermo, showing that he really did understand Guillermo, and giving him this freedom to have it happen like that. I think we're going to see him go back to the same Nandor that ran away from home, and joined the cult and tried to date the girl at the gym. And, I think Guillermo's going to remember that Nandor is not always going to now Guillermo is going to have to remember why he appreciates Nandor,
which I think is a really nice twist. I think it's a nice change of pace and a great way to finish out the season, because it's been, Guillermo chasing Nandor for so long, and Nandor, like you said, Nandor realizing it's wrong. Well, let's turn the tables and let's see Guillermo grow.
Right.
As I think I like the way that they're doing that.
Yeah, I think going back to last point. Like going back to last week when I was saying, I think, just a guess, is that part of Guillermo's arc over this last season is to choose to stay with the vampires instead of doing it because he's expecting something. That I think part of it is going to be this theme that they have become a family over the last 6 seasons, like a unit together. And, the vampires, I think, are going to turn away from, the taking over of North America and destroying humanity. And Guillermo's going to turn away from this idea that he needs to be, a
big man on campus.
Right.
Do you have anything else on the office scenes, or the work scenes, I've called them?
I just, there were so many times that I just wanted to reach through that screen and choke that guy by his collar. I hate that Jordan character. I really hope that when Nandor does lose it, that he takes out stupid.
I hope Nadja does it. I want to see.
Or Nadja.
I want to see Jordan taken down by a woman.
Yeah. You're right.
She'll do it in true amazing Nadja fashion. So that's I'm hoping she's the one who does it.
Yeah, you're right. That is better. That's an even better dream. Either way, I want him dead. I hate that guy. He's the worst. He reminds me of everything I hate about corporate America. There are so many men like that just money is everything that they care about. There's no one that they won't stab in the back. There's no one that they won't, and the fake jocularity, like the whiplash. One of the things that is just so triggering was the way that one second he's your best buddy and he's all chummy, and like there's one little scene where the actor did a great job where he comes in and he says something, he sees the camera crew that Guillermo is talking to, and he says, "Oh, I didn't know you were filming." And then, like casually to the camera guy, he's like, "Hey, like your sneakers." And then immediately rips into Guillermo about some shit, some stupid shit that, it's that, like, those kind of people that you never know. They're like human sharks. You never know where you stand with them. They lull you into this false sense of security, like you're their best buddy. And then the next minute they're just tearing into you over something that you never saw coming.
Nadja will get him.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it. Moving on to home and railroad office scene.
Oh, this
wonderful. Is great. I am so glad that they are staying on the path of keeping Colin Robinson and Laszlo together. Yeah. And when they're working on the monster and Colin Robinson's like, we should try him out on the road, see how he does at a quinceanera or something.
I have that written down too.
It's like, the things that come out of him are just hilarious.
Yeah, and Laszlo just wants to give him the shit jobs. He's just convinced that's all he can do is the shit jobs.
And then he ends up interviewing Sean and does a great job.
Yes.
And then hires Sean, and now they're like, oh crap.
Yeah,
what are we gonna do?
He's supposed to just, humor Sean. They're gonna test him out to see if he can be in the room with a human and not just rip him to shreds and kill them.
If I tell you to get out of the room, what are you gonna do?
Right. I love that by the way, I love that they've just decided to call him Monster. Like he has
No name.
He's just Monster. But he just like they keep talking about how dynamic Sean is, and Sean is just a big stupid idiot. Like they even talk
made
about
him
how
that
stupid he is,
way.
right?
They hypnitized him
Right.
so many times
Right,
that
but
his
like
brain is like fried.
yeah, that was one of the lines that I liked where he said, "Where the elevator box don't go."
It's like you have to push the button, Sean.
Yeah,
I feel
But
like
it will-
you've said you've said a few things like that to me when I've had my brain farts. You're like, yeah, push the button, Becky.
I think that it's so funny. In one scene, they're like, "He's such an idiot," but in the next scene, they're talking about how dynamic. I mean, like that's one thing that Colin and Laszlo agree on is that Sean is just this amazing, dynamic guy, and
He did
of
so
course-
good. How could they
Yeah.
not hire him?
Right.
I
Of
mean,
course, the monster hired him for the fake company that doesn't exist because he just did so well. But I did like the interview questions that the monster was using. What,
And then-
Sean?
and the way Sean got it, he
Yeah.
was like, those two, they need more screen time together
They
because
really do.
they're on the same level, I think.
Yeah, I like when the monster gets up, and there's just so many moments in this episode that are
Did you
just
notice
like,
his jacket?
no,
It's all ripped in the back.
oh, I didn't notice that it was red. But what I was about
I
to
watched
say
the
is,
second time. It made me laugh.
I was one of the things I thought was funny is how the monster's body parts, some of them are like corroded and some of them are like still dead, they look like dead flesh sewn together.
Different
And,
colors.
Right, they're all different colors and
ethnicities.
stuff. So, but you see him sitting on the edge of when he gets up to talk to Sean more in depth and to tell him, about what's important. And the monster has to grab his own hand and pull it up so that he can like steeple it together like a business guy sitting there, giving a lecture. And it just another one of those little moments that were just awesome. But yeah, I loved that they had those two together in that scene. I love that the monster is going to be a continuing plot thread.
I think it's a great addition.
Yeah.
It made me laugh when and this to me is a typical spouse situation when not just like, hey Laszlo, Sean is here, and she's like, okay, he's like, give me just a minute before you send him down. Well, he's already on his way.
Yeah.
He's like, welcome to the laundry room.
Yeah. Then lied about
With his
why does it smells? He says it's because she uses organic
detergent.
But you know what? I've tried that organic deodorant, and he's not wrong. If it's organic detergent, it probably does reek.
That's what he says. It smells like scrambled eggs and piss down here.
Yeah.
Nadja insists we use organic detergent.
Yeah.
That is great. I like their faces when Sean's like, yeah, you guys work on the railroad, right? And they're like, we absolutely do work on the railroad.
At the railroad. Just the railroad.
The railroad. And their whole thinking after they've talked through this is the simplest plan is to hire people, rent an office space, and actually make up a railroad.
Yeah, that's such great
it's
friends.
common sense.
They're idiots, but they're not bad friends to have. Like if they like you, they will go above and beyond, like rent an entire warehouse, pay actors, the set where the paper that just says train.
The plastic computer.
The plastic computer that's just a cutout sitting there. But that reminds me though, that was one of the other things that I've never thought about, but I really appreciate about this show is how sometimes they're, go out of their way to try to cover up that they're vampires, but also there's just the most ridiculous things that humans just don't notice about, like the dead guy that's sewn together from body parts that's interviewing you, or the computer screen that's plastic.
But it's Sean.
There. Right. That is true.
You gotta think about, if Jordan walked in there to interview, Jordan probably would have noticed. But Sean, bless his heart, I am not surprised they got away with every bit of that. But he
does have the brain scramblies.
Yes. I loved Colin Robinson trying to set the scenes with the actors and telling the ones like, y'all are in a little love triangle. I want to feel the tension. Cause like, do we get paid extra?
Yeah.
And then him saying, as he's describing what it's like to be a railroad worker, and the dream is to get workman's comp.
Which is probably not untrue.
But like, where does he get this logic from?
Every week is just them trying to fill up their immortality by just finding stuff that amuses them to do while they're living among humans. Yeah. Yeah. Fake Nandor.
I want to say hi to Nandor. He's like, oh, he's busy.
Yeah.
But they hired a guy to dress up as Nandor.
To look like Nandor. Yeah.
To pull this off.
The attention to detail was exquisite.
Yeah. Oh, I love when Guillermo comes storming in, acting rude and totally pissing off Nadja, and she screams at him, bitch, I am the team.
She is. Go.
Yes, you
Go,
are.
girl. Yes.
What is it? 3 snaps in a Z formation.
I love that woman. Yes, I do. That's what I was in here doing at the screen.
And then Guillermo talking about how they're all just sitting around with your dicks in your hands, and Laszlo's like, why not? It's our house.
Yes, I wrote that down. I was hoping you noticed that, because that was just one of those throwaway lines in the back. I think somebody was even talking over him when he said that. It took me like 3 times watching it.
I feel like he improvised that one.
Very well could have. Matt Berry is so funny. I've seen him in other things. He's in a lot of British comedies. And he is just, that man is just, and did you know he really is a very, very gifted musician?
Yes. Have you seen Merengue's Dark Place? It's with Matthew Berry.
Oh, I didn't. I don't know what it is.
Connor got me. It's only like 7 episodes, and it's on, I think, HBO Max or Amazon Prime. You've got to watch it. You will appreciate it for the spoof garbage that it is. But it's,
I'll go check it out.
So funny. My last note on the episode itself is how Nadja actually pulled off of the real estate deal.
Yes. Let's yet again, just luck happened to fall on her side. Yeah, they went out of their way to try to ruin everything as hard as they could. And it just ended up all working out for them in the end.
It's great. That's all I have on episode scenes. Do you have anything else you want to talk about there?
I want to reiterate again that I love the writers of the show, and they're so smart. And I love that I'm starting to feel the season coming together and starting to kind of pick up on where they're going, and just the tapestry that they're weaving together here. Like, I started thinking about quotes. Of course, I wrote down a bunch, but I was trying to think about, like, what was my favorite scene. And there are episodes where you can say absolutely, positively, this is my favorite scene in that episode. Like the one where Guillermo accidentally joined the group of vampire hunters that were going to go kill that vampire family. The scene where he's with that girl and they're looking in the room where the twin vampires are, and she's just going on and on about how she used to have little glow in the dark stars on the ceiling when she was a kid, and all this sweet little memory. And the whole time there are these creepy 70s twin vampires about to come and attack her. I loved that in that episode. But most episodes, it's like trying to pick apart one thread in your favorite sweater. It's just like everything all ties together so much that it's hard to find one single moment or one single episode in one of their seasons. It just all has to tie together. And at the end, you see like this big overarching picture, and I can feel that coming together, and I'm getting really excited.
Well, remember, when we're finished with this season, we're going to do a series recap.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Vomit all about our love for the show and the scenes, and I've been rewatching and making notes. So keep that thought process in mind as we go along. That'll be
yeah, good. I'm super excited.
The only final things I have to say, I said all my quotes throughout, so we can get to yours in a sec. But Guillermo really disappointed me in this episode. Like I said earlier, I think his firing of Nandor is going to get Nandor excited to actually join in on the North America takeover. I think they did, huh?
I think he's going to feel like that's all he has left.
Yeah.
He might as well.
I think the great work with Sean this episode. You know how they end the episode and then cut to the exit scene or whatever you want to call it. And poor Sean is fumbling through office doors, dropping his resume, trying to zip up his pants, all the while saying he's going to find another VP job.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, God love him. He has the confidence of the unearned confidence of a mediocre white guy for sure. He's the epitome of that saying.
All right. So what about quotes? What quotes do you have?
I think I kind of brought up all of the quotes. I'm just going to look over my notes here and see if there's anything. I did love one of the first things that Jordan says when he comes into the office is "level up, bro," because that was just such a douchey dude, bro. Like, remember all of like the office, C-suite, like at the end of the day and in my wheelhouse and
Yes.
level up, bro, is just one of those that just fits right in with, like I said, just that triggering garbage that those guys always say to each other. Oh, in the moment when he did the air guitar at dinner, Jordan.
Oh.
What a douche. What a dude. God, I hope his death is painful.
Sure.
But yeah, I think if I had to pick a favorite quote from the episode, it's hard. It's either, I don't know, it's between this whole office is made up of tiny little shed dwellers and Nandor saying, when I was a warlord, I always discouraged non-sexual fraternization.
I'm 100% going with "Do you like trains?" because I know your mom does.
Oh God. Yeah, see, I can't pick one. This was one of those episodes where legitimately like trying to pick one.
So much they say is great.
Yeah, it was a very good episode. Yeah.
Well, we did actually get some feedback from Steve Brown. For those of you that don't know, Steve, we actually podcast together on Panels to Pixels. We're doing Agatha All Along, but Steve will call in and leave voicemails, but it's him watching the show live. So you're getting his reactions as it's happening. And I am absolutely honored that he took the time to share some feedback with us.
Hello, Becky and Mandy. This is Steve, and this is for What We Do in the Shadows, Season 6, Episode 4. I love the little doll. I think she's my favorite. Laszlo, a fake phone call. Great. Guillermo summarizing what Hancock, Foot Penis, and associates do with their clothing and then make up drug clinics. If we just hit and don't explode, that doesn't make any sense, dude. You hit and explode. You always explode. I hope the cursing in the background wasn't heard because I don't know what the rating is of your podcast. I'll try to be careful of that. I like this storyline of Colin Robinson wanting a friend and Laszlo trying to make life. Did Sean just call Colin Dilbert? Oh, I missed it. They kept saying the railroad. Title of the episode. Mike's drop. I love this homage to, almost looks like the Sting, this big operation that Colin and Laszlo have made just to get this guy an interview with the, quote, railroad. Oh, another mic dropped. I can't keep up now how many times they say the railroad. It's just mics dropping all over the place. The monster is conducting the interview with Sean. Oh, Guillermo's getting drunk. This might not end well. Oh, Nandor misses hanging out with Guillermo. But he's going to keep his distance. Uh-oh, Guillermo is getting a little big for his britches. The vampires might not be happy with that. Uh-oh, the LBO team is figuring out that this is not a real railroad office. But it all works out because of the real estate. Oh, is Guillermo really going to do it? Is he going to fire Nandor? It sure looks like it. Right. I guess he's fired and on it. Oh, and Sean's playing with the trains. Oh, good for him. Kind of post-credit scene there. Talk to you later.
Thank you so much, Steve. That was awesome. I always love hearing your feedback. So we appreciate you sending that in. And if anyone else would like to leave us some feedback or just say hi, you can email or send us a voicemail as an attachment to what's on tonight 2@gmail.com. That's what's on tonight, the number 2@gmail.com. You can visit our Facebook page where there will be a post for the next episode. You can leave feedback in the comment section or send us a message through Facebook Messenger. And we can also be found on Instagram at What's On Tonight Podcast 2. We would greatly appreciate it if you would review, leave a comment, and or share on your podcast listening app of choice. We are currently on Spotify, YouTube, and one other place, and we are working on getting ourselves on Apple Podcasts. So we'll be available in more places soon.
We continue our coverage of What We Do in the Shadows next week with season 6, episode 5, entitled Nandor's Army.
I'm telling you, Nandor's about to take over North America. As we mentioned earlier, once we wrap our coverage of this show, we'll figure out what we're going to cover next. And if you have any suggestions on what that should be, or if there's anything you'd like to hear us talk about, please let us know.
Becky, where else can listeners hear you?
I can be heard on Adrenaline Cinema Podcast, where we cover Interview with the Vampire, among other things. Also on Panels to Pixels podcast, where we are currently discussing Agatha All Along. And of course, here on What's On Tonight podcast. How about you, Mandy?
Well, as you know, this is my only foray into podcasting, but I do have a couple of suggestions about other podcasts that people could check out if they want to. One of my big obsessions is the Dateline podcast. I don't even watch the show. I just listen to the podcasts as I'm working. I look forward to it every single Tuesday. And another really good podcast, especially this time of year, is the No Sleep podcast. If you're really into the spooky Halloween vibe, it can be pretty graphic. Some of them, I mean, it is a rated R podcast. So just a warning there before, you may not want the youngest listeners, but it's a good vibe for this time of year. But I also want to go back for just a moment to something. I want to go back to the weird moment about me not wanting to call Nadia a bitch, because I have to explain something about me. I don't want anyone out there who's heard me be Cussy McCussy Pants to think that I am the world's right. Everybody knows that Mama can have a mouth on her. And I never would ever dare to criticize my best friend in choosing to use that word. It's just a weird thing with me that I try really hard not to say the word, because I feel like, as you know how strongly I feel as women, we get the shaft in this world a lot. So I try not to say it, but I secretly love it when other people say it. And honestly, I probably slip up and say it about 15 times a day. So I was not critiquing you saying bitch. I was just explaining why it got weird for a second, because I started trying to censor myself in mid-sentence, if you know what I mean, just out of habit. So
Gotcha.
Anyway, I just wanted to make that clear.
All right. Well, thanks for that.
You know me, needlessly beating a point to death. It's kind of my superpower.
That's what I love about you.
I know.
I want to give a big thank you to Mark and Pirate Corps Entertainment for giving us this platform. Please hop over to whatever internet browser you prefer and check out the Pirate Corps website. The link can also be found on our Facebook page. You can find some other podcasts that are on there, and you can also find us on there as well. And before we say goodnight, I do want to say you cannot see what I'm holding right now, but I will take a photo and post it on our Facebook page and in our Instagram stories. I am holding my very own baby Nadja, or baby Becky doll that Mandy made me, and she is adorable. So if you see me out walking around with a tiny little doll,
please do it. Please
don't
do
be
it.
alarmed.
Take photos.
Because I'm going to.
Just bring her into the office from now on and don't say anything. Just start bringing her and have her in your arm when you're having conversations. And if people are like, Becky, what's that? Just, oh, it's Dolly. And then just immediately just jump back into work or whatever. Yeah.
I will say, if I wake up and this thing starts talking,
no promises. Jackson, my son, Jackson has a phobia about those kind of dolls. It was everything I could do to keep him from smashing her head into the wall like Talkie Tina from the Twilight Zone this week. He was not happy. He was very, very glad I was taking that out of the house today.
Well, I hope if she does start talking, hope she's nice. We'll see.
I hope she's as cool as Dolly.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Well, she's me. She's baby
you,
me.
So of course she will be.
She's amazing.
You think, because, Dolly is Nadja's spirit. So is this like Becky that used to be the cheerleader? Because I don't know if you could live with cheerleader Becky. I mean,
I did live with cheerleader Becky, and I think I turned out just fine.
You turned out wonderfully. I'm just trying to think about me living with my 20-year-old self. I don't know if I could do it. That bitch would have to go. See what I did there?
I see exactly what you did there. Well done. Well played. Well, that wraps up our coverage of episode 4 of the final season of What We Do in the Shadows.
Makes me sad every time you say final.
I know.
Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm Mandy.
And I'm Becky. We'll catch you next week when we grab the remote and see what's on tonight. Bye.